This episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler is provided by Cottage Springs.
This is the whole damn show, Rob Van. Damn. Whoa. You got that whole arm in there? Whoa. Damn. You're watching Count It Out.
You are listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition, a humongous edition of
the
the
biggest ever.
Bill Apter Sealed and Approved and provided by Cottage Springs. Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler. I am joined, as always, by the one and only Mike. And Mike, we got so much to talk about. WrestleMania happened, but before we get to that, let's talk about the big news for Count It Out.
I've been waiting weeks to be able to say those words that you just said. Provided by Cottage Springs. We've known about this for a while. We couldn't talk about it on the show yet. We need to put all our ducks in order. It's finally time. We're able to give you all these. I told you that cool things were coming in 2024, and I meant it. We have our very first big company on board wanting to be part of the Count It Out family, and we're so proud to have them on. We've been talking about Cottage Springs for years. You and I have been drinking Cottage Springs right here on the show, so it only makes sense that they come on board and want to have a relationship with us. So I'm so excited to finally be provided by Cottage Springs.
And that's right.
Is big news. Big
and
news.
We're going to start right off with a brand new weekly segment on Count It Out called the Cottage Springs Punch Out of the Week. And now, the Cottage Springs Punch Out of the Week. Find your favorite flavors at cottagesprings.ca. And I mean, if I'm going to do a Cottage Springs Punch Out of the Week, I might as well punch up a Cottage Springs right now. I'm going to go ahead and crack this open. A little blueberry ACA here.
It's blueberry.
Yes, it's delicious. I drank a few of these over WrestleMania weekend.
Sure you did.
All right, let's get right into it. The Cottage Springs Punch Out of the Week. I don't think there's any surprise here of what I'm going to choose. Now, basically, this segment is just going to highlight a huge moment of the week.
Yes.
Whether it's for any wrestling company, I don't think that we're going to get a bigger moment of the year, possibly, than what we got on Sunday night at WrestleMania Night 2. Cody Rhodes finally finishing the story. I thought that this was an incredible spectacle of storytelling. This was years in the making, really. Like, there was a lot of throwbacks to certain things that happened almost 10 years ago.
So many. This isn't just a 2-year story. This isn't just since Cody came back to the WWE. This goes back to Cody's entire career. This goes back to Cody's childhood. This goes back to Dusty's career. But it also tells the story of Roman Reigns and Dwayne Johnson and the things that they had to overcome and the things that they had to deal with in their careers. John Cena comes out, and that's telling us a story of Rock and Cena's past. It's also telling us a story of of Cena and Roman's past. Seth Rollins comes out, and that in full Shield gear, telling us the story of him and Roman. There's so many components to this. There's, you talk about finish the story, but we're finishing like 5 different stories in one here. When you say spectacle, you weren't kidding. That's exactly what this match was. And it was told in the most beautiful, most professional wrestling way possible.
It built so perfectly too. We started out with Jimmy Uso doing the super kick to Cody. It looked like he was going to finish off that match, and then Jey Uso comes out, huge dive, huge spot through the table. Then we had Solo Siaki come out. He took him
Sikoa.
out. Looked like it was a sorry, what did I say? I always say his name wrong.
I know you did.
Solo came out. Shades of last year's WrestleMania. Looked like we're gonna have that deja vu moment. Cody kicks out, shows that heart again. That brings John Cena out for an amazing moment. Then the final boss comes out. We had that great Cena and Rock stare down. Big goosebump moment there. Rock takes out Cena, and then the gong hits. The lights go out. They come on. The Undertaker is in a WrestleMania ring again. Huge choke slam taking out The Rock. And that's it. We're down to just the final two, or are we? Because I skipped Seth Rollins. And I do think Seth Rollins might be the MVP of the weekend. He gave up everything. He gave up everything.
This is the story that needs to. This is the story that I hope is going to be told for the next year. He did. When he said he was going to be Cody's Shield, he meant it. That's exactly what he was. It was such beautiful, amazing storytelling. It was so subtle and so well done that if you blinked, you almost missed it. But Roman had a shot. Roman could have taken out Cody right there, but he sees that Seth Rollins. He sees that man that has been a thorn in his side for a decade, and he chooses to go after Seth. And Seth knew that would happen. Seth put himself down on Roman's sword so that Cody could get his win. Beautiful storytelling.
What I really like about that is Seth in his Shield gear, and Roman had the choice, and it was the throwback to the night that Seth turned on Roman.
Exactly.
Which I don't know. I think a lot of people picked up on that. It was incredible. But Roman had a choice to make. Who do you want to hurt more? The guy that's trying to take your title, or the guy that broke your heart and shattered the Shield? And he chose the personal side, and that was the final nail in the coffin. We had the great celebration at the end. And that's why I think that Cody Rhodes finishing the story as our Cottage Spring Punch Out of the week.
Couldn't agree with you more. Perfect choice for our very first Punch Out of the week. What a great way to start this segment that will go on for a long time.
Yeah, and of course, we want to thank all the great people at Cottage Springs. We are very excited to produce this weekly segment for them. And, this is just the beginning. Who knows where the future is going to take Count It Out in Cottage Springs. What a great tag team that is. I'm a tag team guy. Like, Count It Out in Cottage Springs. What you going to do, brother, when Count It Out in Cottage Springs runs wild on you?
Hate that. Love this.
Come on, Hulkster, brother. But yeah, WrestleMania. What did you think overall? Night one, night two. What are some of your highlights here?
First of all, let's see what we say in a year from now, because I always, you make fun of me, but I always talk with my heart right away. So maybe it's still, going off because WrestleMania just happened. I'm coming off the fumes, as it were. But right now, as we speak, I'm ready to call this a top 3 WrestleMania of all time.
Top 3?
I really am. Top 3 for sure.
I got it in my top, probably top 7, top 5.
A lot of people are calling it the greatest WrestleMania of all time.
I thought night one was a little lackluster. I thought night one was just okay. There was nothing bad on it, but there was nothing like.
Can I say something about night one that's apparently extremely an unpopular opinion? One of my favorite matches of the weekend is the one match everybody else is crapping on. I really enjoyed Jimmy versus Jay.
Really, eh?
I had no problem. First of all, there's not a single match in the card that I disliked. But this match is not my least favorite by any stretch of the imagination.
I did not understand the booking of this match. Now, I see that we're keeping Jay strong because he is going into the world title program now after we saw Monday Night Raw. But, I shouldn't feel sympathy for the heel. I don't understand. I think Jimmy should have dominated the match and Jay should have came from behind. Where does Jimmy go from here?
Well, that's been a question for the last year with Jimmy. I don't know.
Yeah, but Jimmy has been solid. Now after this, he got destroyed almost this entire match.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the match. I had a fun time with it.
I think that when he when he was doing the crying and you're my brother, I think that he should have beat Jay like that.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. I really enjoyed the Street Profit Philly hardcore match, this Philly street fight. I thought that was
Which
fun.
is funny because that's one of the matches being called the worst match of the card.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the best match on the card, but it was fun. Snoop
It was-
Dogg on commentary.
It did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Snoop Dogg started talking like Yogi Bear. Do you remember that? And
Yeah.
I almost like I was almost in tears. I was laughing so hard.
Snoop Dogg was great. TNA's own Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley, as a special guest referee. It was cool to see him in the stripes. It was I think it was a really fun match. I really do.
Yeah. Of course, let's talk about the other big news coming out. Damian Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase.
I don't think this is how I saw it happening. I didn't see Drew winning and then Damian cashing in on Drew because I always saw Damian as a heel. But I like it. I like where they're going with this. I really like what they're doing right now.
I thought that this was a great way to keep building Punk and Drew. Very clever
For
way.
sure. For sure.
Drew was spectacular. This match with Seth was really good. The finish where Drew is taunting Punk after and just keeps going and going and going and then Punk just has enough and he swipes them and lays him out with his brace after a hard fought match and Priest took this shot, cash in, and I'm excited to see first Puerto Rican champion since Pedro Morales, I believe.
Right. I believe you're right. Opening night 2 with this match, I think was a good call.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, those were some of my WrestleMania highlights. What else you got?
We have 2 matches we absolutely have to talk about. We have to talk about that tag match on night 1.
Very fun match.
That was an incredibly fun match. Everybody knows that I was not going into WrestleMania looking forward to that match. I didn't think it made any sense. To me, now I can give Triple H his due and the creative team their due because they proved me wrong. But to me, it was, why is Seth even doing this? This makes no sense. This is stupid. Why would Seth put himself, but now it's starting to make sense. The story makes sense. So I'm okay with it now. The match itself was really fun. Really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought, seeing Rock do his thing is always a good time. I feel that maybe it's a good idea he was in a tag match. I'm starting to feel that maybe he can't go 100%.
I think he can still do it if he needs to.
I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like that's why they did this match. The other match you have to talk about is that Intercontinental title match.
Yeah. I was shocked.
I was super shocked. I did not see this coming at all, and I don't hate it. I want to hate it because I want Gunther to keep that title for a while. But Sammy, man.
When we talk about that incredible entrance of Sammy as well,
that's great.
Where he's talking to his wife and his kid, and then they followed him right from backstage through Gorilla, ran into Kevin Owens, had a big moment, and then they followed him right out behind him to the entrance. I thought that was one of the highlights of the whole weekend for me.
And I love that they kind of replayed it the next night with Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing where Sammy comes up and he pushes him the same way Kevin did to him and says, "Okay, now it's your turn." I liked that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any more WrestleMania stuff you want to talk about?
A couple things. I want to give a couple stats here that I think are interesting. Gunther dropped his title at WrestleMania on the 666th day of his reign.
Yeah, spooky.
Okay, so that's funny. But do you see all the other things that fit in? It was April 6th. Okay. Sixth day of the week. Weird stuff, right?
A lot of sixes.
Yeah. So that's funny to me. Another cool one was both Roman and Seth lost their titles in the same day. Roman lost his title at 1,316 days. Seth lost his title at 316 days. Roman had the title exactly 1,000 days longer.
That's
That's
hilarious.
crazy.
Roman
That's
became the
nuts.
fourth guy to defend the title, or the first guy ever to defend the title at 4 consecutive WrestleManias as well. That's beating a Hulk Hogan record, I believe. Hogan, I think, was 3.
And I want to one more WrestleMania thing. This is a WrestleMania weekend deal. You said that your MVP for the weekend was Seth Rollins. I have a kind of a low key MVP I got to throw out. Someone who really, I think, went out for the business and went out for the company to prove that he belongs in this company right now. I think my MVP for the weekend might be CM Punk.
Fantastic guy, eh?
That man, he represented WWE at a GCW show. He represented WWE at the WWE tryouts that were held in Philadelphia. He did a ton of Make-A-Wish stuff. He was very present at the Hall of Fame. He did all the pre-show stuff. He did all the meet and greets and all the things that are expected of stars. Hell, he won a Slammy, I heard. I didn't see it, but I heard he won a Slammy. And he made himself quite present during the championship match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That was all over WrestleMania. For a guy who a year ago we were laughing, saying we'll never see him in WWE again. And then when he came back in November, and people were like, okay, but he's, is he really here for the company or is he here for himself? And I'm guilty of that myself. He proved, I think, this weekend that he can be there for the company, that he can be a company man, and he can tote the company line.
All right,
I think he proved that this weekend.
What I want to do, because I want to swing into a bigger conversation regarding CM Punk. However, I want to say something first. As you guys probably heard at the top of the show, not only do we have a big announcement with Cottage Springs, but something sounded a little bit different at the beginning of the show too, right? Brand new Counted Out theme song. Want to give a humongous thank you to Alex Hobson for that one. You can check him out on Instagram at Hobson_Alex, HOBSON_Alex. So yeah,
Alex, I can't thank you enough for that theme song. That theme song, I think I can talk on behalf of myself and Tyler. That theme song is dedicated to the memory of my very close friend Jameser.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. I'm not going to go into the background of why, but that's that song. Sorry, I got getting emotional. What's the guy's name?
Alex.
Sorry, I called him Adam. Alex could not have. We asked him for something specific with James in mind, just to give a tribute to our friend and to have him part of the show forever. And I don't think Alex could have done a better job to bring the essence and the personality of James to this show. So thank you so much, Alex. We really appreciate that.
And Alex is he's open for business too. So if anyone is looking for any type of music to get done, shoot him a DM on Instagram. That's Hobson_Alex. So once again, HOBSON_ALEX. I cannot recommend dealing with him. He was such a pleasure to deal with. Awesome stuff.
But you can and you will.
Well, yeah, he was fantastic.
You said I can't recommend.
Oh, I cannot recommend enough. Sorry, I can't recommend enough. He was a pleasure to deal with. He, and we're not music guys, so like I literally was sending him like humming notes and like it was ridiculous what I probably gave him to work with, and he pulled it off, and awesome stuff. Now I want to segue back. You mentioned the name CM Punk.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit AEW here before we get into the heavy stuff with Punk. Want to give an awesome moment that will fly under the radar because it's WrestleMania weekend. Mark Briscoe becoming the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, 11 years to the day that his late brother Jay, became the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. I was saying to you off air, I'm in a lot of trouble this year for my year-end list. Because we're only in April, and I have at least 3 things that are locked to be on my list already. And we're only in April. God, is it awesome to be a wrestling fan right now. Um,
Can I tell you that's one of my favorite things of WrestleMania weekend when Michael Cole yells the words, I love professional wrestling.
I
I
just
got goosebumps.
I can't remember the last time wrestling felt like this. Like it's never
Right.
felt like this. Like this truly is like, and I know
It's
they really like beat it into our heads
I
that
was just about to say it's almost like we're in a new era. I don't know if they mentioned it all during the weekend.
yeah, they made it abundantly clear. This is the Triple H era. It
Yes.
started with Paul Heyman and the Hall of Fame speech,
Mhm.
and when he put over Triple H, and it meant something.
Amazing speech, by the way.
It was a great speech. He said some things that we will not repeat on air today, but my God, Paul Heyman definitely was in Philadelphia and got a little extreme. We'll put it like that, right? But then you go into WrestleMania Night 1, and Triple H kicks off the show, and he says it. This is my era. This is it. Night 2, Stephanie McMahon comes out, which was pretty cool. This is Triple H's era. Like Vince is gone. He's done. They've washed his name. They bought his stocks. They are like Vince is almost completely gone.
And
Then when with Cody too, when Cody won and like Samantha Irvin is crying, Michael Cole is crying, Triple H is emotional in the ring, Cody is crying. The video package the next night on Raw was beautiful. I don't know if you saw that or not yet.
No.
Cody was weeping in the ring. It was a beautiful video package. But things are different and they feel different. And I'm excited to be a WWE fan right now.
You notice there was quite a amount of booze though for when Bruce came out.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but
Yeah.
you know.
But I figured, man, if Cody wanted him out there, there's got to be a good reason, right?
Well, 100%. Let's keep talking. Let's get back on the CM Punk train here. You know, he did the big interview with Ariel Helwani. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, CM Punk buried AEW." Did he though? Like I'm honestly asking you, Punk didn't go out of his way to talk about this, and he tried to deflect it a couple of times. I listened to the whole interview, and Ariel Helwani, and not in an assholey way, but he was kind of pushing Punk. Well, you never talked about this before, so Punk told his side of the story. He was the part that nobody talks about is how much he put everybody over and wish them well. I hope they do well. But he told his truth.
He told his truth 100%. And he told some things that I don't think were lies, not just about the situation, but about the company in general. He views that like what the company ended up being in the end is not the company that he thought he signed up for.
Nope.
And nobody is at fault for that. The thing is here, like if I went to work for a place thinking it was one thing, and then it turns out I was wrong, who's in the wrong? Nobody.
No.
They can run their business however the fuck they want. But am I in the wrong for leaving and then saying, fuck that place? I don't think so. So I think that's what happened. He flat out said, I do not believe that is a company that its number one priority is to sell tickets and make money. I have been saying that for 5 years. I truly believe he's right on.
Here's the thing with AEW. They do things that are really, really good, and they put on a great in-ring product. You cannot deny that their in-ring is very strong. They have a loaded roster. Their in-ring always delivers. But there's more.
I wouldn't say always, but okay.
Most of the time. It delivers more than it doesn't deliver. I'm talking purely from inside of the ring action. They put on a lot of spectacular shows. They put on a lot of incredible matches. Some of them are not my style, but they're still entertaining. Some of them are my style, and they're really good.
And I think that's where the problem lies. You want to talk about styles. Some of them aren't your style. Well, a lot of them aren't my style. I don't like the Young Buck style. I don't like the Darby style.
But
that's the stuff being shoved down my throat every week.
But they're like ECW in that regard. If you don't like the Young Buck style, you have a Daniel Garcia. And if you don't like a Daniel Garcia, you have a Darby Allin. And if you don't like a Darby Allin, you've got an MJF. And if you don't like an MJF, you got a Bryan Danielson. Like it's a variety hour. There's lots of different stuff. We don't have to like all of it, right? Yeah. But there's more to running a wrestling company than just putting on dream matches and booking for a small audience and booking for Dave Meltzer and that's where Tony seems to be. Case in point, this by the time this is airing last night, we're recording this on a Tuesday evening, so we haven't seen what they're going to do yet. But Tony Khan got all upset after CM Punk's interview, and now he's going to release the security footage from All In with the Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and CM Punk fight. Now,
Remember something though, before we go further? That's not what the Bucks said.
They said they're releasing footage from All In.
They said they're releasing backstage footage from All In. So we are conditioned to believe that it's going to be the Punk footage. It very well could be something very different. They could be just be teasing us just to get the views. It could
from
have
what I've read,
to see a Punk at all.
From what I've read from, your Meltzers and your Brian Alvarez's and your John, like, I don't know if Pollock said it or not, but a lot of the big wig, I won't say, let me take that word back. A lot of the bigger name wrestling journalists are saying that it's going to be real footage.
Okay.
Now,
I believe it'll be real.
Whether or not it's going to be Punk involved in it, that's a different story. I think,
I'll be honest, my very first theory was that it was going to be Nick and Matt dressed up like Punk and
now Tony Khan has come out today and said it's going to be real footage also. And he also said that they have a track record of delivering what they say, which for the most part, they've had more hits than misses.
He also reminded us that All In had 82,000 people in the crowd, which isn't true. So
now CM Punk did throw a jab. Did you hear that when he was talking to the Miz?
I'm not sure.
He asked the Miz if he was going to get a tattoo on his neck with the attendance of WrestleMania.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, okay, you're not perfect, Punk, but that is funny. But jab, 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 whatever. Yeah. I get it. But I don't understand what the point is of this. I think that obviously the Young Bucks and Jack Perry are going to start working together. Or maybe he joins their elite.
I hope to God it has nothing to do with their numbers. I hope it doesn't improve their numbers at all to show Tony that this isn't the kind of shit you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Want to know something that makes me laugh? Let's say he does show that footage, okay? And let's say his numbers skyrocket. Let's say it's great numbers for Dynamite. Congratulations. A member, once again, CM Punk is the reason the Dynamite had great numbers.
Now,
unless, does not work for you.
Good
job, Tony.
Here's like my outside the box thinking on this is that the Young Bucks are getting ready to take on FTR at the next pay-per-view. Maybe FTR was there. Maybe the Bucks were there. Maybe there's a way that they're going to tie this into building up that tag match.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see how showing CM Punk choking Jack Perry is beneficial to anybody.
Especially since Perry's not active with the company right now.
Well, he will be. Like Matt Jackson shot him out. Like, love your work on his entrance. Did you see that?
Right, but apparently Tony and Perry are not. I right now.
They could be working us there. If Jack Perry is working New Japan Pro and ripping up AEW contracts, I think that this has been building for a bit.
Did Perry join the Bullet Club?
I don't think so. I don't know, to be honest.
I feel like he might have.
I know he's doing the scapegoat character right now.
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool.
So whatever. So but then okay, let's say they show and again, let's just this hypothetical talk. Let's say they show the actual footage from the AEW choking. Where does Perry go from there? You got choked by CM Punk. What's he gonna do? Cut a promo saying I was assaulted? Like there's no payoff. I don't know. I'll check out the footage and see what they say. I think, honestly, though, one of the main reasons and one of the only reasons I will watch the footage is because I just feel like we have a duty to talk about it on this show. I don't really care to see the footage. Like, I don't know if I would want to watch the footage if I didn't have to talk about it on here. Right. I don't care. It doesn't add anything. It doesn't add anything to me.
Just to clarify and to confirm, he joined the Bullet Club, and one of its several stupid subgenres or subgroups called House of Torture.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I feel. How I feel too. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Next. Barry
next.
Wrestling's got a show this weekend.
Yeah.
A Fallout tournament.
Which I'll watch all day before I watch fucking Dynamite.
Yeah, I would watch 100 Barry Wrestling shows before I'd watch 180. Although I do think that no, I can't even say that. I wanted to bury Sean Gibson because I know that he hates Tony Khan, but I can't even say Tony Khan is like I can't. I was gonna try to make a reference between Sean wanting to be like Tony Khan. I can't do it. I can't do that.
But you can continuously make your your Tony Roma jokes at me, but you
Who?
can't.
Kenny Omega? Tony Roma.
Because of Sean's joke about
Oh, Paul Roma.
oh, did I say Tony Roma?
Yeah, well, football season's over, brother. I love where your head's at, but yeah, I will continue to make that because you are wrong on that. Tully Blanchard is the third greatest horseman of all time.
Well, Sean Tony Khan Jr. Gibson is wrong too. So
listen, he's a Steelers fan, so we can't put him over too much. But he runs a hell of a product up here in Barrie, so we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
So, what do you think, man? Is it list time? Are we done everything?
I think we're ready to roll into a list right now. We've gone Broadway the last couple of shows. I feel like we got a good flow going on this one. I'm kind of excited to talk about your list. I'm in a good mood.
You're always in a good mood going into the list.
Well, yeah. Then you give me the list. I'm like, ugh.
Well. Hopefully, this show will have a great happy ending, just like a lot of the endings on my list, because we are doing the greatest endings to WrestleMania ever.
I'm going to assume that this was inspired by Cody finishing the story.
It was inspired by the fact that had a very unique ending. Yes. Am I going to say it's on the list yet? We'll see. We'll get there.
Well, that just depends if you want to upset
me. So this list, the only criteria, it doesn't really matter the finish of the match itself. It's got to, where a lot of them, it ties in. The finish of the match does tie into the finish of the WrestleMania. But what's most important, you got to leave WrestleMania saying, "What did I just watch?" But in a good way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold on, because there's a couple WrestleManias that I'm not going. Not in
a WrestleMania 9. What the hell did I just see? Kind of way.
I don't hate the ending of WrestleMania 9 like everybody else does. It was a wow factor. It would honestly, I think it might make my list in the number 7 spot. I'd have to hear some of the stuff. Like I did no research this week. So
my 6 and 7 were so difficult for me because I have 4 that I wanted on the list that didn't make it. That I might even get heat for not having on the list.
I gotta hear them.
But 9 is not even close.
I gotta hear because I'm just like trying to think off the top of my head, and I didn't do a lot of prep for this week's show. So
now my 1 through 5 are very much based on the moment, the emotion, the how it made us feel. These are the ones that you leave going, oh my God. My 6 and 7, I don't know if I'm going to take heat for this because I kind of broke my rules a little bit. They do give you those moments, but it's also more the fact that they're important. These are important endings in the analogs of WrestleMania history. They may not be as flashy as some of the other ones. They may not be as spectacular as the other ones, but they are memorable, and that's important. And we need to talk about them 15, 20, 25, 30 years later.
Let me ask you a question for criteria standpoint, and I'm going to use a specific WrestleMania as an example here, because this will let me know where your head's at. Okay. WrestleMania 3. Do you count the body slam as part of the ending of WrestleMania, or does it have to be after the final bell rang? Like, where does the line draw here?
Okay, so for me, I'm just going to spoil it. WrestleMania 3 is not on my list.
But what, like,
to me, the ending of WrestleMania was Hogan Must Pose.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Because if you're counting the body slam, then it's got to be on there.
However, what led to Hogan Must Pose? It does tie in. So if you were doing this list and you put that on there, I wouldn't argue with you. because it does all tie in together. To me, and I can hear people already turning off the show because of, well, if he's not putting WrestleMania 3 on here, I don't want to hear the rest of his list.
I feel like most people turn the show off when they find out it's not my list anyways. So
So to me, that it's just it would have been in my top 10 probably. Maybe.
So does your list, like, does it start after the final bell rang, or does the final bell not have to ring for the
It doesn't
ending
matter
story?
it doesn't matter how we get there. It doesn't matter why we have this feeling. If we turn off WrestleMania and say, holy shit,
Okay.
because the way it left us at the very end, doesn't matter how we got there. If it's the finish of the match that did it, if it's something that happened after, if it's, you know, a long thing like Cody's thing happened for like 20 minutes after the show, if it's 20 minutes of Hogan doing this, it's whatever gets you. It doesn't matter what gets you there as long as you're there. If WrestleMania goes off the air and you're still sitting there staring at your screen going, wow, then it could make the list.
All right.
Again, my number 7, not the flashiest moment in the world, not the craziest moment in the world, but very important moment in history, in wrestling history, I think. And a fun moment to boot in the actual match and a little stuff after the match. We're going to start the Austin era at WrestleMania 14.
Okay.
I understand. I'm going to try to talk you into this. I get that. I
got to
do.
see what you don't have on your list before.
It almost didn't make my list. There was a few others that even in my head right now, I'm like, did I do the right thing? But to me, I think this is an extremely important WrestleMania because it shifts into a whole new era of what we know as wrestling. When Mike Tyson punches Shawn Michaels, I think the crowd explodes.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd goes nuts. When we turn off WrestleMania and Austin is holding the belt up in the air and Jim Ross is exclaiming, the Austin era has begun.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Perfect way to end that show.
And I agree. I need to know what's not on your list before I can give my opinion on this.
Okay. My number 6 falls in the same category as very important, very big moment. Maybe just not as flashy as 1 through 5. But I'm going to stand by this one. I could be argued out of my number 7. I think I have to stand with this one, though. I have to stand with the man at WrestleMania 35.
Becky?
Yeah. Ending WrestleMania 35 with Becky Lynch winning the title, I think is huge. I think it's massive.
I didn't even think about this one for an honorable mention, to be honest.
Well,
because like the moment, like the finish was kind of botched. Like, I don't know. It just was.
I rewatched it several times this afternoon.
It's a great moment. It is.
And I think it's one of those moments we will be talking about in 10 years, in 20 years.
Well, I mean, it's almost been 10 years and we're not really talking about it.
Well, it's only been 5.
Yeah, that's halfway there, brother.
And
Bon Jovi would be living on a prayer.
Because we're talking about it right now.
Wow, you're talking about it.
When I turned off that WrestleMania, I remember going, wow, all right. I was number 1 happy that because I think it was already expected that Ronda would win. So it was.
I don't think anybody expected Ronda to win. I thought we all thought. I thought that was pretty clear. Becky was going to win.
And that it's the way it happened with the roll up was unexpected. Her standing there with the titles, the very first time women have done this at WrestleMania, I think was a huge moment.
I agree. It was a huge moment. I didn't get the tingly goosebump feeling that you got on it.
All right, there's a bunch of WrestleManias we'll talk about in the honorable mentions that maybe belong in my 6 and 7, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on board with your list so far. I'm
well,
not
you're going to be. I
vibes.
promise you'll be on board for my 1 through 5, because we're going to start right now with one that I know you love.
All right,
and we're going to go to the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31.
This is only your number 5. Wow. Oh, I think this is this has potential to be number 1.
They all do. My 1 through 5, I think all have potential to be number 1, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, this has to be on your list. This feels
They're all amazing WrestleManias.
This doesn't feel low enough for me though.
This could have been my number 5 and 4 are interchangeable. Number 1 and 3 are set. Number 1 through 3 are set. Nothing's changing them.
I'll have to hear what your number 3 is. I can't.
5 and 4 are interchangeable.
Like, to me, this is a 2 or 3 moment. I think this is one of the greatest endings to a WrestleMania of all time.
It was crazy. It was. I think we can agree. We've probably said this before. I think we can agree it's the greatest cash in of all time.
Yeah, that one, and then Dolph. I think Dolph is the second.
About Dolph, I believe yesterday was the 11-year anniversary of Dolph's cash.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, eh? But this is the greatest cash in.
Yeah.
Because was this the first or the second time it happened? This is the first time it happened at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Right.
The second time was Priest.
Was Damien? Yeah.
Yeah.
9 years later. So it's the first time it actually happens at WrestleMania. It's cool that he didn't just because they could have done it in ways that, they've done it before. They could have waited until, let's say, Roman won. They could have waited until both guys were completely screwed. No, he came in. They didn't have to make it a triple threat. That's what they did because it was different. They came in. They made it a triple threat. I like how he gets in. He picks the weakest one first, being Roman. And he kicks him out of the ring, and then he goes after Brock.
Brock picks him up immediately for an F5, which is great.
Yes. I love everything about it, man. It's fantastic.
What I love most about this too is that Seth had a great match earlier in the night. He was the second match on the card against Randy with that legendary RKO spot. So you thought his night was over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I might say the second greatest RKO ever we saw at WrestleMania this year. That pop-up powerbomb counter was unreal with Kevin Owens. Not the second greatest ever. I'm over-exaggerating, but it was amazing. But
okay. I get it.
Five seems high.
I'm not going to argue with that. You think that I should have a better placement.
I got to hear out. I'm giving you. Yeah, I got to hear it out.
My number 4 is a better spot because 31 leaves me going, wow, right? But this one leaves me going, oh, wow. WrestleMania 20. Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, confetti.
It's a beautiful moment.
One of the most beautiful moments in the history of the company. Benoit finally getting his moment. Eddie there to celebrate with him.
Beautiful moment.
Brothers. This is one of those moments where you turn off WrestleMania going, I want to watch that again.
I think I would have this in my number 5 spot if I were doing this list.
Okay.
So I'm not too far off from. I said
they were interchangeable.
Yeah, I'm not too far off from you here. This should be on your list. I know, we're not getting into the Benoit stuff. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about beautiful moments at WrestleMania. This is two best friends that paid their dues together. And they came through and overcame so much. And they were the guys that were never supposed to be the world champions. And there they are closing out the 20th edition of WrestleMania in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, for wrestling.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful moment. If this wasn't on your list, we would have problems.
Big time. Some people may have called, because a lot of people didn't see him as a champion for some stupid reason. He being Chris Benoit. So you might call him becoming champion at WrestleMania a miracle. But the real miracle happened 10 years later. We're going to my number 3 with the miracle on Bourbon Street. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan winning the WWE Championship.
I've got this in about the same spot as well. I still have Seth ahead of both of these moments. Yeah. But this has to be on your list. And I'm a massive Daniel Bryan mark. So
and that I'm not, and I don't have anything against him. He's just not my guy. He's not my top guy. Never has been. Never will.
And he's always been one of my top guys, 100%.
But when I can get that invested into a guy that's not my guy, that invested, and Randy is one of my guys. Randy Orton is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of the WWE. But I was more invested in Daniel Bryan's story here. I wanted Daniel Bryan to win. I didn't want Randy to win for once. So for that to go the way it went. And everybody knows I'm a massive Triple H mark. So for him to have to go through Triple H earlier that night
Beat
to get
Evolution.
this,
He beat Evolution in one night.
go through all Evolution, 100%. Amazing story. Going off the air with him celebrating the way he did was perfect. Great.
Yeah.
You want to
He
talk
had
about
that-
beautiful moments? This was a beautiful
And
moment.
he had that beautiful moment with Connor as well, who was terminally ill at the time. And yeah, just this, I love this moment. It's a top 3 moment for sure.
So my number 2, I'm wondering if this would actually be your, like, would it be here at all, or would it be higher or lower than your Seth? But I think this was almost my number 1, this close to being my number 1. But we're going to say goodbye to the greatest all-around performer of all time, Shawn Michaels, at WrestleMania 26.
This would be on my list as well. Oh, maybe I bump everything up a little bit and put Sean at
number 2, man. I think it deserves this spot. It came this close to being my number 1. This fucking close.
Yeah. Maybe that's my number 3. I don't know where I have Seth. Like I didn't put a list together this week. I think Seth is probably my number 1. I won't say my number 2 because I don't know what yours is yet. I'd probably have Sean at number 3.
Wow. I'm actually surprised.
Then Daniel Bryan, and then some other ones that you don't have on your list. So we'll save those.
Wow. I'm really surprised. Let's talk about the moment for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It starts. I think the ending of this WrestleMania starts before the bell rings. Where I count this starting is where Shawn is on his knees and the Undertaker does this.
Mm-hmm.
For those listening on Spotify, I put my thumb across my neck. The minute that spot happens, everything from there until WrestleMania goes off the air is what I'm discussing, is what I'm talking about. He does that, Shawn, and then stops because he sees that Shawn is getting up, and he's like, "What are you doing? Stay down. You're done. You're done. Stay down." And then Shawn mimics him with the neck thrust, slaps him across the face. Great audible by the commentary team. Was that, I can't remember if it was Cole or was that JR on that night?
I believe it was Cole. I can't remember, to be honest.
Whoever it was said, if Shawn, I think it was Cole, if Shawn Michaels is going out tonight, he's going out defiant as ever. And he slaps Undertaker across the face. And Undertaker, I don't think I've ever seen him that mad in my life.
Yeah, he hit the jumping tombstone too.
And then flips him over, does that jumping tombstone, 1, 2, 3. And it's this moment of, yay, the Undertaker is 18-0. And then you're like, oh, wait, Shawn Michaels just ended his career.
Yeah.
The greatest performer I've ever watched in my life is never going to wrestle again. Damn.
Yeah.
And you go off air like that.
It's a touching moment for sure. I got to hear your number 1 still, but I'm excited to hear that.
All right. You ready for the number 1? I don't think you are, but
you got like at least 4 on my list that I'm shocked that there's one that I'm especially shocked at. Unless it's your number 1, I'm gonna lose my mind.
You're not gonna like any of this. You're not gonna like my number 1. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna peel off the band-aid here. My number 1 all starts with a boyhood dream.
Okay.
And that boyhood dream belongs to Cody Rhodes. WrestleMania 40.
I don't hate this as your number 1.
WrestleMania 40. I was trying to swerve you with the WrestleMania 12 shit.
Well, at first I was like, okay, like Seth is better than all those. I think Cody is my number 2. I think Seth is still my number 1.
Okay. And this could be, talk to me in the ear. This could just be the emotions from.
I don't think it's just the emotions. Yesterday. I just think like it's just different emotions. Like when Seth cash in, that was like, that blew me away. And I left WrestleMania just being like, holy crap, that was unreal.
when I
Cody
finished
was a
watching
different
WrestleMania,
vibe.
I think the very first thing I texted you going, that might be the best finish to WrestleMania ever. Like that was
I would interchange as well. I
oh,
wouldn't. I mean, I'm not going to fight you on this being number one.
uh,
Cody and Seth, take your
ev-
pick.
everything from the emotions of Samantha Irvin, the emotions of
Hmm.
Michael Cole to
It was
you know
beautiful
to Triple H coming out to just even
when
even the
he
stuff.
handed the belt to his mom.
Yes,
Oh,
to shaking hands with Seth, to all the things, to the guys, to Randy and Sammy, and kind of recreating the WrestleMania 10 moments
hmm.
a little bit, which we'll talk about in my honorable mentions. But yeah, I think this is the pivotal and the perfect WrestleMania ending.
Remind
There's
me your
this is
number six
flawless.
again. What was your number six again?
WrestleMania 35, Becky,
And then what was your number five?
heist of the century.
Okay. Um, I don't know how you don't have WrestleMania 8 on this list.
You're kidding me?
The Warrior coming back,
It's an honorable mention.
number 7, 100%. The Ultimate Warrior's return at WrestleMania is
What?
unreal.
How are we in this weird opposite land where you're the one fighting for WrestleMania 8 and I'm the one
Because
fighting?
there wasn't a lot of good stuff at WrestleMania 8.
Um,
There's a great IC title match, I heard.
if I was gonna go for a Warrior moment, I would have went for WrestleMania 6 before 8.
6 was beautiful too, but this surprise, and I don't know if this is the child in me talking, I don't know what it is, but this was like a holy crap moment. Warrior music hits. He'd been off TV for almost a year by that point. I
Yeah,
thought this was a great ending to WrestleMania.
it is, but I don't think it was my top 7. I have a couple others that could have, should have, maybe would have made the list instead of my 6 and 7, but that's not one of them.
That's on there for me over your number 7.
Okay, WrestleMania 10.
WrestleMania 4 for me is also on the list. I'm serious.
Who are you today?
Man, you're telling me that
Are you
Macho
just
Man.
looking through a book of the worst WrestleManias and just like,
Yeah, but the endings were fantastic. Macho Man,
4.
Macho Man's story in that whole WrestleMania was unreal. And the moment at the end where Hogan hands him the title and he's got Elizabeth up and Hogan's pointing at him. This is the number 7, number 6 spot. I got better feelings over the crowning of the Macho Man era than I did the Becky Lynch era.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to argue that maybe Becky and even Austin maybe shouldn't be on my list, but I don't know if those ones would take the spot. I think the WrestleMania 10 spot maybe comes in.
10 would be close for me as well.
It's a great moment just because I love Owen standing on the ramp, and
Yeah, I could put 10 on there as well.
I made a joke about it, but you got to talk about WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what kept WrestleMania 12 off my list, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I know that this has kept WrestleMania 12 off some of your lists. Knowing what we know ruins this WrestleMania.
Yeah, when
right?
Shawn tells him to get out of the ring.
Shawn told Brett to get out of his ring. That ruins it a little bit. And I know we're not supposed to know that. And I know, it's not audible. You can't see it happening exactly. So we shouldn't let that count, but it kind of does.
You know what an honorable mention is for me? It would never make my list. Is WrestleMania 28. The Rock beats John Cena, and there's that great shot of Cena on the ramp.
On the
it
ramp.
Would never make my list, but I thought that was a really powerful ending to a WrestleMania in a different way. It would never make my list, but I don't think I'm budging on 8. 8 is on my list for sure.
Okay.
4, I could argue with you.
I have a question for you, because
Yeah.
this makes everybody else's list. It didn't make mine. Didn't even make my own mentions. Actually, when I made a joke at the beginning of the show saying it has to be a good feeling, not a bad feeling, this falls into the bad feelings for me. But everybody else seems to like it. So I got to ask you, WrestleMania 17.
Nah. I get it,
Right?
but no.
No, but I don't get it. When I left that WrestleMania, when I turned off that WrestleMania, my feeling was, why? Why? What? Why? So dumb.
There is another WrestleMania that you could make an argument for. I get my numbers mixed up around this point. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 32 where Taker left all his gear in the ring.
Mm.
Now, if that was actually the end of The Undertaker,
Who did he wrestle?
Roman.
Was that Roman?
Yeah. And that was a powerful ending to WrestleMania.
That would be on the list.
If that was actually it for
Taker never
Taker,
wrestled again. Yes.
that might be like a number 1 or 2 moment if Taker never wrestled again.
100%.
But he did, and yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that,
that kind of falls with WrestleMania 12. If we didn't know what we knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 12
if
12's
things
an honorable mention for sure. But other than that, like I wasn't big on like the Rock Cena 29 where they just posed on the ramp, whatever. 30 was great. 31 was the best. Yeah, like a bunch of the Brock stuff. Yeah, I would say
I wish I could have fit, or I almost wish that I did fit the WrestleMania 10 in, because at least we would have talked about 10, 30, 10, 20, 30, and 40 on the list.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would put WrestleMania 10 over WrestleMania 14 personally. So
maybe, yeah.
I don't have the same feeling.
Though. It's interesting that I know that maybe they should be bigger WrestleManias, but the 10, 20, 30, 40 WrestleManias are all really good WrestleManias.
10's overrated. 10's a 2-match show.
10's got one of the greatest professional wrestling matches in history on it. So
two of the greatest.
The ladder matches.
Ladder match is an iconic match.
It's an iconic match. I wouldn't call it one of the greatest professional wrestling matches ever.
Bret Nolan is
a clinic.
Yeah, those guys are okay. You turned me around on the second half of your list. I don't agree fully with your order. I agree with a lot of the moments. First half of the list, I wasn't a big fan of. I think we could do some tweaking there. How you didn't put WrestleMania 8 on your list, I don't even know who you are. That's your favorite WrestleMania. You talk about it like you've talked about WrestleMania 8 for like 4 weeks in a row on this show.
Warrior's not the reason I like that show,
but it's a great ending.
It is.
God.
Well, before we go home, number one, I want to thank once again Cottage Springs for coming on and being part of this. We hope to be part of your family and have you part of ours for a very long time. We hope you guys enjoyed the very first show in what we're going to call the Cottage Springs era.
There you go.
There you go.
And I want to thank Alex Hobson one more time for his fantastic work on our brand new Counted Out theme song.
Now, if
with a little cameo from David Penzer in there as well.
There you go. If you're only listening to this because you heard about our new theme song, or you saw a reel with the punch out of the week and you got over here, please go down. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to on Spotify or Apple Music, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those things. Every like, every subscribe helps us to get a little bit closer to our goals of bringing this show bigger and better. Look at the things we're already doing. New theme song, new partner in Cottage Springs. It's great. We're moving in the right direction, and you can help us move even farther with every subscribe that you give us.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a better thing to say. Why don't you take us home on behalf of Cottage Springs?
On behalf of Cottage Springs, and I gotta say, one time only because it's the first time we ever used this theme song, I gotta say that it is, in fact, Jameser time. You have been counted out.
Cheers.